in this episode.
I mean, it is kind of strange that only 14 countries have access to Antarctica.
It's a
and
little weird.
North Part, and they won't let you. Just can't go there.
Not anymore, right? They completely closed it off.
Yeah. Thanks, COVID.
Here's a theory for you. I have always been of the mind that flat Earth is a conspiracy theory that's put out as a diversion to make people not look at hollow Earth. Like make them both look like jokes, but only one of them is true, and that is hollow Earth.
In an obtuse world, Mark and Jefe will combine military, law enforcement, and general FUD knowledge to keep you vertical. Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Live, Laugh, LARP podcast. We've got an awesome guest. This is actually someone that I've been watching on the YouTubes for a number of years, and I feel that we've connected over the last few years and become friends, and we'll talk about that here coming up on this episode. But before we get into that, we have to say a special hello to our co-host. Nan is joining us this time. She's just filling in for just a little bit. We had to record a little bit earlier in the evening than we normally do to accommodate the scheduling and stuff like that. So Jefe's running a little bit behind. No big deal. Nan's going to fill in because she's super excited about this guest as well. And
That I am.
Yeah. So this is going to be a great episode, I think. With all of that being said, I want to say a huge thank you, as I always do, to each and every single one of you guys and gals who are listening to the podcast. We continue to see our analytics grow, and it's all because of you guys. We have some really awesome analytics, and I would say that I am actually kind of surprised at a lot of the different countries that we are seeing on our analytics. So, Nan.
Yes.
The United States is going to be number one.
Okay.
Who do you think is number two? What country is number two? Who do you think? I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a huge hint. We just talked about a restaurant that I love going to in Vegas.
Oh, Germany.
Germany, that's right. So United States, Germany, Sweden, Canada, and the United Kingdom are the top five. So that is pretty awesome. We also ended up with a comment from our YouTube channel. Believe it or not, the podcast is streaming on the YouTube, so if you guys are interested in checking that out, we did end up with a comment over there, and let's see if I can find it. Oh my goodness, there it is. An interview with Clayco47. How does this not have more views? Guy is a legend. Clayco is a legend. And the reason why it doesn't have a lot of views is because basically when we upload one of these, it automatically gets dumped into the YouTubes. So there's really no tags. There's nothing really kind of pushing the content, but it's there for you guys if you're interested in checking that out. In addition to that, we need to say a huge special thank you to our sponsor, our title sponsor, and that's Atero Arms. Atero Arms is your premier sight mounting solution for AK-47s. I am a huge fan of them. I swear by them. I've been able to shoot 575 yards and get a first round impact at that distance with one of their mounts that was used. It was an RMR mount for the Siley. What do they call it? It's a Siley optic. It's a Siley.
It was that big fat one.
It was the big fat one, yeah. What do they call that? It's not the bear. The bear's the mailbox.
Like a wolf.
No, that's the small one too. Bull. It's the Bull X
yep.
Pro. That's what it was. The Bull X Pro. They're all naming conventions are animals, I guess. So, but anyway, using that with the Atero Arms mount, I was able to hit 575 yards on the first round for competition, and actually I think I placed in the top 3 for that stage because of my setup and understanding my dopes and all of that type of stuff. So with that, Atero, thank you so very much for supporting this channel. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive right on into this. We are on a kind of a time crunch. We're going to try to fit in as much as we possibly can. But we've got Joe. Joe, man, how you doing?
I am doing all right. Thank you for that very heartfelt welcome. And, I have been an avid listener of your podcast, but also a watcher of the Fit and Fire YouTube channel for quite
Yep.
a while.
Yep. I've been watching your channel for years now. I think I'm probably, how long have you been on?
So I started Firearm Freedom in 2016.
Okay.
Right around then. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm pretty sure that you were one of the guys that I was watching that was kind of giving me my inspiration to start my own YouTube channel.
Man, what? I never knew that.
I'm pretty sure it's the years are, you have to forgive me, but in my advanced age.
I get it, man. I get it. I'm right there with you. But no, it's funny you say that because I've been watching your channel for a while and I love channels like ours. They call them nowadays micro influencers. I feel like is the bougie term for any channel under 100,000, but
100.
It's still genuine, man. That's what I love about it. That's why I watch Clayco all the time. It's just reviews still, which is a very refreshing. I got a comment a while back that was someone had said, watching your channel is like watching 2014 YouTube. And I'm like, man, you just hit me right in the feels with that, So that's what I kind of strive for on the channel. But that's why I keep coming back to yours as well. And of course your, oh, hi, Mark, entry.
I can't tell you how many times I hear that when he's editing. And every single time, I don't care if it's 15 times in a row, I giggle.
You gotta have it. You gotta have it. If you have a good intro, it's what makes the channel.
Yeah, I've been told I get comments regularly that says if that leaves, I'm leaving.
Yep. Yeah. It's excellent. It's absolutely.
Can you imagine real quick what would our channels be like if we had started in 2014?
I mean, I feel like the golden age of starting YouTube was around 2013, 2014. I mean,
it really was.
That was just, if you were a gun channel around that time, man, I'm not trying to say it was easy to start then, but man, there were a lot less cards ready to tip over onto your channel there than there are nowadays. Fun fact, I started YouTube, probably about 13 years ago, way before 2016. And it was on a super cringy fitness channel that has since been erased from the internet. So there's that.
So, and that's what my channel started as. Like I would do a workout of the week and a gun review.
Yeah.
Obviously fit and fire, but I noticed very quickly that nobody watched the fitness stuff.
It's too overdone, man. That's the thing with fitness stuff now. There's so many fitness influencers, and it's just I feel like it's nearly impossible to make a fitness video that has not been made 80 times over nowadays.
Right. Yeah. And so I've been wrestling with how to bring that back, so a lot of my more recent videos, I would say probably the majority of the videos that I've done this year have incorporated, especially like with Kalashnikon, that competition that I shoot in Missouri. That is a very physical more so than a lot of people realize, shooting competition. And then obviously just on the flat range, just trying to get some running in a little bit.
Absolutely.
So maybe a little stress stuff. I know that Jefe really wants to do a micro wad on the range to introduce some stress tests. And then Shep Dev is a guy that I follow on Instagram, and we had him on the podcast as well. His his basic skills test that he does incorporates something like 30 burpees across 3 different reps.
Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Which
Yeah.
is that it's actually a really interesting segue, because you mentioned that you had a fitness YouTube
I did.
channel way back in the day, but that comes from your time, I guess, as a competitive bodybuilder. Is that the best way
You
to?
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so before guns, it was nothing but fitness for me. That was kind of like the hobby, but also living in New York, I loved guns, but I could not own very many guns up
Right.
there. So, yeah, fitness was number one, but I've been competing in bodybuilding and powerlifting for the past 15 years. I started my first competition when I was, 15 was the first time I walked on stage at a bodybuilding competition. I ended up competing in bodybuilding regularly, want to say about 5 shows under my belt. And then my last show I did at 19. And
Wow.
then kind of throughout the entire time, I was competing in powerlifting as well. That was what I started even before bodybuilding competitions. And ultimately, I retired early, very early out of bodybuilding and just stuck with powerlifting competitions, just because a powerlifting meet is so much more wholesome and so much less stressful on your life than
Mhm.
a bodybuilding show. But yeah, I mean, using that really correlated well getting into the shooting world, because I was already very well versed in the fitness world, and then just kind of introducing that to the range, like you were talking about, adding in sprints and doing different things to get the heart rate up and shooting at the same time was kind of interesting. And kind of treating a range day almost like you're doing sets and reps and things like in the gym, I think is beneficial, and you gotta have some fitness level. I mean, you don't have to be a crazy bodybuilder. In fact, that'd probably hurt you if anything, or have crazy, intense cardio. But having some type of physical fitness, I think, is almost a must for just overall self-defense, preparedness, all that good stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So would you say that you kind of hinted to it, and this has been kind of a rumor that's hit my head for a number of years, and just kind of my perception, I guess, of the powerlifting versus the bodybuilding. It would seem that the bodybuilders, if you put like twins right next to each other, and one guy did bodybuilding and one guy did powerlifting, the powerlifter would be leaps and bounds stronger than the bodybuilder, even though their look is exactly the same, their BMI is exactly the same, obviously same height, same weight, all of that type of stuff.
yeah.
Is that accurate from your
I
perspective?
I would say yes and no. For the bodybuilder perspective, it really comes down to how you train. You have guys that train really solely hypertrophy stuff, and they are much more concerned about rep ranges in 10 to 12 for everything. They're going to do longer workouts generally, more cardio generally. But I always, because I competed in powerlifting as well, stuck a lot with heavy exercises most of the time. And I would kind of mix bodybuilding and powerlifting workouts together and just kind of always do my really 4, but if we're talking powerlifting, 3 main movements of bench, deadlift and squats. But I would also add in overhead press as well. But those heavy compound movements do a really good job of building strength while doing some hypertrophy stuff afterwards, which is also helpful. But it just depends on how you train. That's really what the strength comes down to. Now, as you get closer to a bodybuilding show, your strength absolutely decreases. a good bit as you start getting more thinned out and you're
I was gonna say, because you're just cutting weight.
You got it. Yeah, like I pinched body fat at my last show before I dipped out of bodybuilding at 3% 2 days before the show, which is like it's so unhealthy. It's not even fun. I think like 5 for a male is medically anorexic. So it was not good as far as health goes. And a lot of it also depends realistically on if you jumped on any drugs or not. I always competed natural. And that was also a big reason why I got out of competing, because it was kind of like sounds crappy to say, but it's kind of like a decision point. I think every bodybuilder gets to is like, are you going to jump on the gear or stay natural? And if you're going to jump on the gear, this is kind of like a life decision that you're going to make this kind of almost a career choice to put it all in. And I just was not willing to. I just didn't want to go there, to be honest with you. So yeah.
And Nan, you actually hit a couple of PRs this week.
Last week.
All right.
Yeah.
And I've continued them.
Yeah.
So they weren't flukes.
So what are they?
I can squat 205 3 times. That's good for me. I flat benched 115 3 times.
Okay.
Not bad.
And I deadlifted 225 3 times.
Yep.
All right.
Those
are
pretty freaking awesome. Yep. So I've gotten back into the gym now this
You've
last
been
week.
Killing it, man.
Well,
I've been seeing the Instagram reels.
Man, I've really slacked off this year for a number of different reasons, life reasons. I've got some injuries that I've been messing with. I've had some grip strength issues. I've just now gotten back to that point where I'm okay. But oddly enough, when did we get that deer? When was that? Friday?
Last Thursday.
So I got a phone call from the neighboring county, and I'm on a list, a good list.
I mean, we're all on a list, really.
I start talking about myself getting fingerprinted, and I'm like, for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to get fingerprinted for work. So
yeah.
So if there's a deer that's hit by a car, they obviously do a report for the vehicle's owner so they can claim it on insurance and stuff. And then the deputy will call into the dispatch, and they go into their salvage tag list, and they start calling people to say, hey, car just hit a deer. Looks like it's in pretty good condition. Would you be interested in coming and pick it up? And if you say yes, then you can go and grab it, and they give you a salvage tag, and it's free meat.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for hunting licenses or deer tags or anything like that. And
the deer's not just rotting on the side of the road.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Fresh.
So by the time I got there, it had been hit at about 7 a.m. It was about 11 o'clock before I could get there. Luckily, no one else took it. So I went ahead and jumped on it. Now, this deer took out a Subaru. So, its chest was just annihilated. Its ribs were just dust in certain parts, right? But I was able to get a lot of the rump on it, and I got 2 tenderloins and both back straps. Probably could have salvaged a little bit more meat, especially around the neck, but this was a 10-point buck. Now, not a huge 10-pointer, but a respectful
still a big
one.
Boy.
Yeah, and it was so big I couldn't lift it into my truck. I had to get the deputy to help me finagle it into the truck, even after I got done processing it, because I do all of my own all my game that I harvest, whether it's deer, duck, geese, whatever, I butcher it myself.
Nice.
And even after I got done with it and wrapped it all up to dispose of it, I had to have someone help me get it into the bed of my truck. With I'd already taken the head off because I'm going to Euro mount it, and then freaking all the meat that I cut off, it still had to be 120 plus pounds.
Probably.
I mean, that's just like dead weight. literally
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole point of that is, when you're going in and processing it, the first thing you got to do is you remove the hide, and that requires a lot of grip strength to pull and slice as you're doing that. And man, my I could tell an immediate difference from last year.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, no, well,
Oh
immediate
wait, you
difference.
mean good or bad difference?
Bad
Oh
difference.
no,
Yeah,
oh no.
like my grip strength has weakened since last year, and part of that reason is my left hand ring finger. I broke it or did something to it at Kalashnikon, and it's been swollen ever since May.
Yeah.
The swelling has come down quite a bit, so it's almost
pretty much
gone.
just right at the knuckle, right?
Yeah, it's right at the knuckle. The knuckle's been bruised since May.
Yep.
So it's probably a ligament or something got tore. And then in my right hand, in my index knuckle, it's like, I don't know, it's got like gout or arthritis or something.
Yeah.
Which I just found out that gout is a form of arthritis.
I could see that. that.
But
I had to Google that.
Yeah. Needless to say, I'm just now, all of that is to say that I'm just now getting to a point where I can start working out and feel okay. Feel like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to be in excruciating pain because I did whatever workout. And
that's just real, man. That's real.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about that in my vlog the other day, that the physical fitness world of social media loves to drive home the like never quit, never fail. Every day is a grind. Every day is a good day. 75 hard, all the good stuff. But the only thing I disagree with all that mindset is it's not real in regular life. I've been training straight 15 years. I've never had like a year off or 6 months off or whatever. And I can tell you very much so that there's a difference with somebody just starting the gym in the first year and feeling nothing but motivation and drive. And usually that'll continue for a year or two, but there are months of lows, of plateaus, of walking in the gym and being able to just walk on a treadmill and then leave. And, that is your workout for the day. And I think personally, the most important thing is not necessarily that like hardcore kind of bro drive, but just going there, keep putting a foot forward. And that's all you got to do. But realistically, everyone's got ups and downs, man. Always, there's always going to be injuries, bad times, just regular life stuff getting in the way. And yeah.
Well, the other thing too is, obviously I kind of paint a target on my back because of my channel's name. And when someone sees me, okay, yeah, I have a little bit of extra weight around my waist. All right, I got a little bit of a stomach.
I wouldn't say so.
Well, I appreciate that. But people automatically think that I should be yoked out like, some of these other bigger YouTubers and stuff like that. And that's not my goal, right?
Yeah.
I have goals listed on my my workout diary that I keep every single day. I keep track of my weight. How's my weight doing? Am I going up? Am I going down? How's the diet? But mainly I have my fitness goals. All right. And my fitness goal is to be back down to quote unquote my fighting weight of 170.
Which I think that's too skinny. But
she thinks
that's pretty low, man. That's super low.
Well, when I fought in 2019, I had an amateur kickboxing fight. I
remember the photos you posted from that.
Right. I weighed 162 and a half, 162.7, I think.
Yeah.
When I stepped on the scale for weigh-in, I had dropped 25 pounds in approximately 3 weeks.
Because that's super healthy.
Yeah. And it was just protein all the time, all protein and some veggies. Any type of carbs that I got was from veggies.
Yep.
And surprisingly enough, I didn't lose any muscle mass. I actually slightly gained muscle mass, even though cutting all that weight.
Yeah.
But
it can happen sometimes.
Yeah, I was just exhausted. I was tired. But my goals is back down to my quote unquote fighting weight. So 170, if I get down like 175, or if even I get just a hair below 180, I'd be fine with that.
For sure.
Goal 170. Bench, I need to be able to bench my body weight 3 to 5 times. I need to be able to clean my body weight at least 3 to 5 times, and then I need to deadlift my body weight or twice my body weight 3 to 5 times.
Yep.
And then my cardio is I need to be able to run 1 mile with a 20-pound weighted vest, pace at about 8.5 minutes. And then my 2-mile time is 8 minutes. Now, will I be able to accomplish all of these goals? I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh,
But,
you got it, man.
well, I mean, maybe, but the whole point is this is what I'm after.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to approach. I want a holistic fit. I want to be strong, holistic.
Very realistic goals.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
Which, I'm sure Reno May, and Reno May, he has just gotten ripped. I mean,
he's pretty jacked up now. He seems like a good dude. I might have sent I don't even know that I've sent him a DM before or anything, but he seems like a cool dude.
He is. And he's been encouraging me to, get my blood work done, to see about, offsetting everything with some supplements and, and then obviously maybe look into some TRT treatments. And I'm not sure. I don't know if that's where I want to go, but
everyone's jumping on,
I know,
on the treatments these days.
It seems
kind
like
of funny to me.
But the one thing that I laugh at is he refuses to run. He can't stand to run.
Yeah,
he might run a mile, and that's about it.
I cannot talk, man. I fall into the stereotypical bodybuilder that has, I should say, powerlifter that has horrendous cardio. Yep. But I try to get away from that. I do a lot more cardio nowadays as I've gotten a little older, and I'm trying to remain actually healthy. I do a lot of HIIT cardio, but way before the powerlifting and all that stuff, I did a little bit of boxing, and I do the boxing workouts still nowadays. I got my little home gym rocking here, and having heavy bag, aqua bag, some speed bag work, and do some jump roping and stuff.
Yeah.
Any things like that really help out with the cardio.
It smokes you quick.
Oh,
it really, yeah.
Absolutely.
But the funny thing about it is, when did we do that run? When did we do that 5K? When was that?
Oh, August.
Was that on August?
Mm-hmm.
So we did a 5K, and now I don't know if this is a very accurate depiction of the people in my area, but I ran how many times this year? But prior to that,
at that point, like 4
times, and it was like maybe 2 miles at the most. And I went out and ran that 5K and placed in the top 50 participants of like 200 and some. So I was like in the top quarter.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And then in my age bracket, I think I was in top 10. I think it was 8th or something like that.
I can look it up if you want me to.
No, you don't have to.
I can't even.
We'll just pretend.
We'll pretend that that's right.
I can't even imagine running or walking 5K. My guy.
I know. 3.1 miles. Well, see, that's the funny thing is, oddly enough, I hate running. I hate running too. Yeah. But Monday, I just went out and ran 4.75 miles.
Yep. Yeah.
I was like, here's my workout for the day. I'm going to go do that. And it's on paper, it's supposed to be 4 miles, but my Strava paused inadvertently for some reason. So I'm like,
gotta love it.
I was like, well,
if you had an Apple Watch, it wouldn't have paused.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
He was making fun of me the other day.
Nan, I got to agree with you on the Apple Watch. Although I'm torn. I just picked up a Garmin, and I thought I was going to make a big switch to the Epix Pro or whatever that Garmin has from my Apple Watch, and I'm too much of a simple guy when it comes to technology. There's
like, I can't
so many features, man.
There's nothing with your watch that I can't do with my phone. And I'm like, yeah, that's valid. But I hate running with my phone. Cannot stand things in my hand. And my watch holds my music.
The watch is nice.
It tracks where I'm going. It tells me how far I've gone and how fast, and it
Yeah.
holds on my music.
I just think it's a money grab.
I don't
It is a
care.
money grab too. I'll agree with that too. I have no dog in this fight.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, people, so I'm going to digress all the way back. Someone might take a look at me and just be like, this dude thinks that he's something special. But yet I'm like, yeah, looks are deceiving because just so you know, like I said, I just ran over 4 miles on Monday just because that's what I wanted to do for my workout today. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that can't do that,
Well, and I would also argue how many other 46-year-olds are getting off their ass and doing that.
Exactly. Right.
For sure.
And then when I got done with that, I'm like, 4 miles, that was pretty tough, but not tough, but that was a smoker for sure for not running that far at all this year.
Yeah.
Let's go do some back squats, So I, busted out 40 back squats,
Yep.
So just low weight, high rep, 4 sets of each. So and that's something I kind of pride myself with, and I'm trying to use that to influence more people. It's like, look, man, I'm not asking anybody to be ripped. I mean, Nan and I talk about it all the time. We've got some weight that we could.
Yeah, we do.
We got some weight we can lose. But Nan, she just hit some freaking major PRs for
absolutely
for a girl. You can say it.
I was going to say a woman.
I mean, they're still pretty solid PRs, male or female. They're pretty solid.
Right. So, but anyway, that's kind of going to wrap up I guess our fitness aspect
for sure.
Because I was just really interested in
this is the only part that I can contribute to.
Yeah, well, it's the part that I thought was really cool about you that you've talked about ever so slightly here and there throughout your videos.
I've hinted at it,
yeah, and then also I'm gonna touch a sore spot here. Also on the podcast.
My beloved podcast. Man.
Okay.
Damn good podcast.
So, and this is one of the reasons why I love having Nan on this episode because Nan's introduction to Joe and the Firearm Freedom is because of Freedom Foil.
And specifically the Denver episode with the really weird blue horse statue and everything that's going on with the Denver airport.
Absolutely.
That's the one that I remember the most of. I know you've had a lot of others.
We had, man, I think we got to almost 30 episodes. I'm pretty sure. And we have put it on a semi-permanent hold, basically at this point.
Permanent
semi.
He said
semi. Where I was just talking to my wonderful wife before this podcast starting tonight, and I'm like, man, we got to do that again. But we are in. I mean, life's always crazy, But our lives right now are just insane.
How old's baby?
My son is about to be 2, and we have 3 dogs right now. And amazingly, our dogs who are older and very needy are far harder to take care of than our 2-year-old son. But if you mix those 2 together and, 2 full-time jobs and all that good stuff, it is just, it's that time of life where finding an hour is like nearly impossible. Yeah. So, we did our podcast and I thought out of all the social media things that I have done, that was the one area where I really truly felt like this could be big. This could be like big, because it was so wholesome and genuine, and we were both doing it just because we loved it. I mean, I love my YouTube channel as well, but it's a job. It's at the end of the day, it's still a legitimate job for me on the side. The podcast was just fun, and I think that really came through well. And
it did. It translated very well to the listeners.
I appreciate that. And also there's a lot of preaching to the choir in this industry a lot of the time, which is not bad. I mean, it's, it is what it is. We're all into the same stuff, but it was somewhat of a difference where I was pulling from people from our industry in the gun world and just the regular like bro world. And then also because of my wife, Mary, being on there, she brought in a whole new aspect where I had guys coming up and saying, hey, my wife loves this podcast. My girlfriend loves this podcast. She's not into anything I listen to, but she's into this. And I think it had this really special way about just bringing everybody together in that aspect, which I loved. But yeah, unfortunately, as time got harder, my son got born, it just, it started to get harder and harder to find an hour and then edit and do all that completely
and all the
for
research
free.
that goes into it as well.
Oh yeah, the research. I mean, for me, I always I would still do the research, but I'm just an absolute psychopath when it comes to conspiracy theories. So it was very natural for me.
Well, Nan, you can thank Joe for that
Yeah.
because you flipped that switch when you started that podcast. I'd kind of dabbled in it and stuff like that, and now I'm like, every time someone brings up space, I'm just like, oh, you think we landed on the moon?
Yeah, it's a fun one.
That's the one
it's
that I
one.
cannot get behind. I cannot get behind that.
It's just so funny because Nan, she can get in behind, okay, maybe the CIA had a hand in JFK and
Absolutely.
MLK and MK,
or they did.
MK,
Yeah, they did.
MK Ultra and all of that.
It all starts like that, man.
I can even get down behind
then,
a little bit of Tower 7, okay? I can even see that.
But
I'm
say
sorry,
all that stuff.
I believe those astronauts. The astronauts would not lie to us.
You say all that.
Put that in a higher standard.
You become believing in the lizard people by the end of it. Okay, so that's how it goes. All right.
I trust the astronauts. That is all that I've got.
I get it.
We landed on the moon. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well,
this is a good transition point.
Yeah, it's great because Jefe's here. He's going to slide into the spot here, and
perfect.
It's great talking to you, Joe.
Great talking to you as well, Nan. Nice to meet you.
So we're just going to transition a little bit here, but so should I expect that if things, obviously as the boyo gets a little bit older and as life maybe hopefully kind of quote unquote calms down a little bit, we might see an episode here or there,
Yeah, so I want to pick it back up full force like right now, but at the moment, the biggest hurdle that we're trying to get over, Mary has a great job that she loves, but it's now work from home, half work in the office, half. And that's where it starts getting more complicated. If she ever has a situation where this job goes back to, work from home fully or whatever, or different opportunities come about, that's where it becomes a lot more realistic to actually do these episodes again. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. And, you never know what might be around the corner, and we're not writing it off. It's not like I'm saying, yep, we're done. That's it. But a pet peeve of mine is when YouTubers are like, oh, sorry about that, guys. It's been rough. We're back in action. And then they'll do a video or they'll do something. And then like 7 months later, they're, hey, sorry again, guys. We're back. I swear we're back.
We're working on our second divorce right now.
It's Jefe, nice to meet you, buddy.
Talk about coming in at the perfect time.
It just works,
with some inside baseball right there.
It's all right. I get it, but yeah, it just it's one of those things. So I'm just kind of leaving it a semi-permanent. Like, we're not dedicating time to it right now, but hopefully in the future.
That's good. I would really appreciate it because, the podcast not only opened me to just look at things a little bit more skeptically,
Yeah.
a little bit more open-minded, but then it also it allowed me to stumble in on like King Trout and Wendigoon and freaking
Wendigoon is a
Count
banger.
Dankula. I know, right?
Yep.
You Hefe, you talked about Wendigoon.
Oh yeah,
a bit.
I love so we live by the Missouri Cheese Caves. We are so close to it. We can actually go like raid it whenever we want. And that's kind of like has been like ever since that came out. First of all, absolutely love that episode, but I hate that he's now giving away my game plan for like the end of times. Now everyone knows about it, so therefore like it's going to be one of those. The second we had like 8 Blackhawks fly over our house today. Kate turns to me and goes, "Is it starting?" and all I can say is like, "I gotta get to those cheesecakes."
She literally said that.
Yeah, she just turned to me and goes, "Is it starting?"
It's like, no, honey, we live right next to Fort Riley.
No, I mean it's not very common for 8 of them to fly that low to.
You never know anymore. You never know when it's going to finally kick off. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they just what just a couple of weeks ago before the election, they were running some drills in DC where they were like evacuating members of Congress. They were doing this whole training situation like at like 2 a.m. where
Sounds about right.
Blackhawks would come in and
the only thing about that's a little weird is usually that. Let me just dive right into the into the craziness, but usually they go underground to leave DC, and that's not a conspiracy theory. That's actual fact. They have a bunch of evacuation tunnels, and it leads to places. I don't know if you're familiar with Greenbrier, but it's a place a little bit closer to home to me in Pennsylvania, but I think it's in Virginia. It's a huge golf country club like mansion that's been around for forever, like a hotel. But just recently, they decommissioned the actual bunker part of Greenbrier that was an unknown security bunker for members of Congress and other Washington, D.C. folks to actually evacuate to underground to get to Greenbrier all the way from D.C. And they had huge complexes and stuff, but now that's actually a museum. You can go down there and like check everything out. But a lot of the time, those dudes jet like tunnels under the ground, which is pretty wild.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, if you've been paying attention to X at all, like there's a certain political ideology is asking for J62, the electric boogaloo already.
Really?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, it's like some fringe nobodies, but
yeah,
I mean, that's how I guess the first one kind of kicked off. So
yeah, that's true. Yep,
a lot of diversionary stuff out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm just hoping that Brandon Herrera ends up becoming the director of the ATF. Hopefully, if that happens, I've been pleading my case that I would be a good deputy ATF guy.
He's great at snitching to the feds. Let me tell you, dude. Let me tell you.
I'm not
perfect.
I'm working on the inside to tear it down.
Yeah. Now, I would say a majority of what. So I wasn't always psychotically into conspiracy theories. Okay. I was not always the tinfoil hatter, but in all seriousness, what surprised me the most about really diving in and actually doing a podcast and doing almost 30 hours worth of talking on these different points is that a lot of the stuff that we looked into, some of it is just BS. I mean, some of it's, this is fun and cryptid related. A lot of stuff where you're just, you got to have faith in the belief, if you will, of these different conspiracies. But some of the more troubling ones to me were government related, were things that you immediately started saying, there's no way, like there's absolutely no way something that heinous could have happened or something involving that much death or whatever else. And then you start looking into it and everything begins to like check out and become accurate. And that's when it starts getting very real. And it starts changing your kind of view when you're going into the CIA reading room and pulling these documents that you're finding somebody reference on some crazy schizo 4chan post somewhere, and it's all checking out, and you're kind of adding all these pieces together, and that's where it gets a little bit more of the doomer, troubling aspect. And usually I feel like that's when a lot of normal folks kind of fall out of it, because if you dip too far into that realm of things, it begins to get really difficult to view things in any sort of optimistic light, which, as you've probably been able to pick up if you listen to my podcast, that's where my doomer mind comes out, and Mary kind of evens me out a little bit with some optimism.
Yeah. Well, the biggest piece with all of that, and why I have been so, I guess, kind of awakened to the not necessarily that these conspiracy theories are true.
Yeah.
Rather, we have seen time and time again the government lie. The government tell us one thing, and the complete opposite is the truth.
But not you, Spencer. Not you. You don't lie to us at all. Not you, Spencer.
But and then, having a military background and seeing how games are played just within the military, to fool people, to fool lower enlisted to go do something, and how easy it is to manipulate all of that into, having them do one thing opposed to the other. Then you put that on a macro scale with a bloated federal government, and you're like, there's no way. It's like there's a comedian. He's like, you don't believe in any conspiracy theory? Really?
I saw that reel,
right? You think the government's just batting 1,000?
No, it gets wild, dude.
And it's hard to because the federal government is such a vast monster with so many people that work there. I mean, when people usually talk the federal government, and it just harks, you just think of the Senate, Congress, and the executive branch. So you're thinking maybe 1,000, or but you're thinking, but no one thinks about the untold hundreds of thousands of random employees, mid-level managers that are just doing random. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Nan. Are just doing random shit out there that has no checks or balances on. So a lot of the stuff is plausible. No, what's always great to have you ever heard of the Finders documents? Have you ever heard about that one?
Yeah, we actually did an episode on that.
Perfect. Yeah, so it's
pretty jacked up.
It's the Spider-Man meme all over again. Everyone's just pointing fingers at each other. It's like, no, you're the one sex abusing children.
So that was an episode. I don't think I made it through. I think I had to turn that one off.
It gets too much.
Yeah. It gets worse. And it's worse and worse. And you're like, oh, this actually might have happened. Mm-hmm. And it's, I think we're going to see, I'm really hoping, I'm being optimistic here, that with this current administration about to maybe go in, that I mean, I don't want to count. I'm not counting.
You never know anymore. You never know.
You never know. I find it very disheartening that the person that just lost the election has to ratify it, and a lot of people said that they aren't going to ratify an election. So it's actually was really telling is when the betting market starts saying whoever gets inaugurated is going to be deemed the winner for those bets. It's not who won the election; it's whoever gets inaugurated.
Oh. Did that change since the election, or was that still?
That's
before?
Been the thing. That's the betting markets.
I didn't pay any attention to that.
So the betting markets were these people betting on who's going to win the election,
of course,
and it wasn't who was going to win the election; it was who's going to be inaugurated.
I see.
So
what's the point spread on that?
Right now it's terrible, but yeah, it's. Coming with this new administration coming in, it's going to be interesting to see if a certain politician keeps their promise, all the stuff we should hopefully find out about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've been promising that since I can't even remember the president's name. It was back, I want to say Jimmy Carter. Okay. Wasn't Jimmy Carter the one that was all about outing? In his case, it was extraterrestrial shit, but I could have sworn he had done a bunch of.
Those aliens don't exist, man. Come on.
Yeah,
You
a
can't even
bunch of like interviews and stuff about that with the news, and that was his big running thing back then.
Yeah.
Like he was going to out, CIA related documents, and I want to say it's Jimmy Carter, but I could be completely wrong on that.
You're probably correct on that. I don't recall that, but of
Yeah.
all of the presidents that I can go back and have some knowledge of, whether it be Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Carter, etc.
Yeah.
That would be the one that would be like, yeah, he seems like a snitch.
yeah, that's pretty accurate. But yeah, I mean, the Finders was a rough one, man. That was hard to look into. There were some that there were some that Mary had a hard time talking about. It starts getting. I want to talk about it just to spread some awareness with it, but it's so hard to believe. And I think the biggest problem that people have in those episodes is that issue is a government issue. Like that is a bipartisan problem of all sides of the aisle that people know about, and it's still going on all over the world, with different things like that. And I think that is sometimes hard to we want our side, if you will, to always be in the right, you know what I mean? And sometimes when it comes to these conspiracies or these holes, CIA is kind of bipartisan, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the whole thing there is an issue, and that I think is really hard for people to grasp,
Right.
that can be difficult, and that's where it starts getting a little crazy, because you're like, okay, so if it's bipartisan, what do we do? How do we, how do we fix this? And that becomes the head scratcher,
Well, so to kind of change the mood a little bit of I know of the podcasts,
Mark, I'm a doomer, man. I'm sorry to break
I
it down.
know. But
Before we OD on black pills.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
What was your favorite one to do?
Oh man, what a great question. My favorite episode ever might have been, I'll liven it up with Waco. No, I'm kidding. That was one of my favorites, I swear. But it was
really light it up.
Yeah, no. I would say realistically, the Denver airport was probably one of my favorites, and second up might have been the simulation theory. That was always a super fun one. Just really bizarre. You really got to just kind of let it go for that. And really anything else, that Denver airport gotta be number one. Close runner up simulation, and a nice third would be reptilians, the lizard people. That was quite the laugh. That was a lot of fun.
So I don't know if you talked about this in your simulation one. There was I watched it was a 5-6 minute little shorter reel or something like that, where they were talking about how you can see into the simulation. And these guys are talking about you have to have a certain megawatt laser and shut it on.
The DMT one.
And then he's they go through this whole thing. They talk about if you do this and go to this lidded room, and
they had me in the first half,
and then take a shit ton of DMT. You could see the next dimension. You're
yeah.
Well, I think because you took a shit ton of DMT, you're seeing the lasers and everything. It had me in that. I was watching that intense. Oh my god, I need to try this. Will my Hollow Sun replicate this?
I was thinking the same thing.
You had me until the DMT.
Yeah. When he's we just all lined up and smoked the DMT and saw the same thing. I'm is it the laser? Is that is that the entrance, or is it just the DMT?
Well, I will tell you, my favorite was, I don't know if, I can't say that the Denver airport episode was my favorite. I have good memories.
I get it.
Because I was driving back from Wyoming, and that episode, like I mentioned before, was Nan's indoctrination, right? And then, but I think my favorite was Hollow Earth.
Oh, I forgot about that, dude. That would be, you know what? I'm going to change my list. That's number one. That's number one. There's not even a follow-up. That's my number one right there.
So I'm gonna humble myself here. I did terrible research on prior to this. Do you go on your flat Hollow Earth? Do you go into Operation High Jump at all, or is it just
yes?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. That's what I mean. That one's another one of those. It's like, yeah, all this crazy stuff happens, and no one knew about it until his son, who needed money because he had a drug habit, released this mythical journal of this guy.
Kind of wild journal. I actually have. I'm looking over to my left. Yep, right on the bottom of my bookshelf. I have an original Admiral Byrd story of his travels to Antarctica from like 1950, I think. The book is out of, but an original book, really cool. Doesn't talk about the diary, but still talks about his adventures in the South Pole, which are pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
it was not as cool as Hollow Earth's silver people and
I mean, dude, I'm like fully drinking the Hollow Earth Kool-Aid. I could definitely get behind the Hollow Earth.
I mean, it is kind of strange that like only 14 countries have access to Antarctica.
It's a little weird,
and they won't let you. Just can't go there.
Not anymore, right? They completely closed it off.
Yeah. Thanks, COVID.
Here's a theory for you. I have always been of the mind that flat Earth is a conspiracy theory that's put out as a diversion to make people not look at Hollow Earth, like make them both look like jokes, but only one of them is true, and that is Hollow Earth. So take that for what you will.
I think the ice globe Earth, or whatever they call it, the ice orb Earth.
Yep,
I've heard that one.
Oh, this one's even like because
is this the 2024 version of flat Earth?
It's like the 4D chess of Hollow Earth, flat Earth people.
It's so crazy because like the Earth is flat, but it's also on a big ball of ice, and the only spot that we can see is what the sun has melted. But there's other suns melting different spots on this giant globe. On the flat Earth is on a globe. Don't look too much in that part.
You have to be schizophrenic to get it. That's the thing.
and so I've started adoring conspiracy theories, and it's really helped. I'm a police officer, and
I was following your stuff a little bit there,
and talking to people, just listening. Like, you know, I don't say people. I'm going to say people. They're people, but just talking to some of our citizens.
Ashley again, or
Ashley and Aaron. There's people that they will talk for an hour and a half, and you're like, I did not know that the pharaohs of ancient Egypt buried gold here in our town, where the Snake and Python River. Tell me more, man.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I've seen some Reddit posts of some like schizophrenic drawings out of prisons and stuff, and I'm like, I mean, those guys might know something we don't know. I'm not sure what's going on.
Needless to say, we have a couple local celebrities, well, at least one local celebrity that's actually you can listen to all of the schizo rants.
Actually, I'm going to shout her out right now. Get her some followers. She has about like 200 right now.
I know. She actually, in some cases, she has more views on some of her videos than I do.
So, is it like a schizo Instagram?
Yeah. No, it's YouTube. YouTube.
Oh,
Ashley Hatcher.
Ashley
Hatcher.
All you have to type in is Ashley Hatcher, Manhattan, Kansas, and you're welcome.
You're welcome.
I'll take a deep dive.
It's a great time. Some of the dog stuff got a little weird. I think YouTube removed the dog stuff.
All right.
She had a
starting out. You're really selling me here with this.
She had a wolf. So for the longest time, if I was ever going to make a band, it was going to be Ashley Hatcher and the Wolf Pack, because she had this like huge wolf dog for the longest time, and it was always kind of in the video sometimes. But like, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, and then she started having intimate relationships with the dog on YouTube.
Okay.
And it was just really weird because one day we're just like, oh, Ashley dropped a new video, and we're in our briefing and we hit the play button
Uh-oh.
And a lot of us had to go talk to like IT after, like, hey, we were doing some research and
It was on YouTube.
it was on
Some
YouTube.
investigations.
Yeah, we were just seeing what Ashley was up to, and so
Yeah.
just if you see a wolf dog in it, just probably go to the next video.
Okay, sweet.
Those are
I will
probably
keep that in
removed,
mind.
but
Yeah, I have a few buddies that are current, like, active duty law enforcement, if you will. And they, I don't know that that's the right term. Active duty law enforcement. Is that right?
I mean, that's sure.
That
That
just
works.
didn't sound right, like
It
rolling
sounds
off
like you're
the tongue.
it sounds like you're an MP, and so everyone automatically probably hates you. But-
Yeah. I don't. That was just that sounded. I apologize to the listeners because I just didn't. I said it, and I'm like, what is that? Okay,
You could
but
say current
they're
law
current law
Active law
enforcement.
enforcement, yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. But they are avid listeners to my podcast. I actually work with them at my part-time gig now, and they listen to the podcast like in their police car.
Mhm.
And they're like, I'm like, dude, you really got to be a little cautious here because I don't know that your higher ups are going to dig like me screaming about hollow earth in your police cruiser as you're patrolling around on the dash cam. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
or
you
when you
never
get
know.
into Ruby Ridge or Waco. Or...
Yeah. So they were like, dude, I was listening to your Ruby Ridge episode last night. I'm like, I'm really hoping you're not going to wind up on police activity and I'm going to be like screaming in the background on the dash cam. You know?
Well, what's nice about that? I mean, I've been called out a couple times because we have Dodge vehicles, and so my CarPlay, so you can see the little icon of what I'm listening to sometimes, and on my body camera, I've had a couple detectives like, oh, so that's who you listen to.
Yeah.
You're like, you feel like you're judged. You're like, okay, well, chill.
Well,
But-
I'm doing research.
No, it's just more of, like I'm trying to think of the one I was listening to the other day where a detective. Oh, I was listening to like a Tinfoil thing, and they're like, "You listen to Tinfoil? Like, how can you do that?" And I was like, "I don't want to go into it right now, man." Like, but
yeah.
Well, the best way to skirt around that, in my opinion, is to say, like, I listen to a whole bunch of different people, so I get perspectives from so many different
I don't got
angles.
time
There you
for
go.
that. I don't
There you
get
go.
time for that.
Yeah, he's like,
no one's got time for that, man. Like, I think I kind of heard you talking like when you have like a job that you work 40 to 60 hours, kids, family, it's just like a podcast. Like, I don't have time to listen to like,
yeah.
I get all my news from reliable sources like Reddit and Instagram.
Exactly. Obviously, you got to go down to like 8chan or 4chan for the real news. That's just gonna really be great news sources for sure.
Well, I think what's hilarious is that in this day and age, more people get actual news from memes than anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, naturally, it's going to be misinformation, but it's called a joke, people. So just laugh at it.
Yeah.
So I sent a very spicy meme to Nan.
Was it deep fried?
No,
Oh,
no. It
got
was
deep fried those.
Oh man, this one, and I sent it to Nan. She was not happy with it at all. She was like, I am not laughing at that meme. But
So do not look at the glizzy chat then.
delete my history. So here you go. I'm going to show this to Jefe real quick so he can take a look at it. So
Oh, yeah.
it's spicy, isn't it?
Spicy, caliente. I love it.
So what it is it's Tim Walz, right? And it's that blank stare that he had at the debate, that picture of him, right? And the meme is Planned Parenthood watching their best customers pledge abstinence.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I know.
You're doing great, man.
But yeah, that was a pretty spicy meme, and man was just not having it.
It takes a fun sense of humor to be in the memes of this industry a lot of the time,
Yeah.
And when I started off with, I knew that she was not going to like it, so I was just started off with, "It's a joke, laugh," and then she immediately came back. She's like, "I'm not laughing at that."
Yeah, it goes like that quite a bit in my house as well. Our house, I
Right.
should say.
Yeah. So, but again, we get our news from memes at this point, which
Yeah.
is hilarious to me, because the quote unquote mainstream news can't tell you what is actually going on without
No, man.
heavily spinning it one way or the other, and it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's like I was just listening to some stuff coming over here, and they were talking about the new the defense secretary pick, and how it was like all they said, it's a Fox News pundit. That's all it is. And well, this guy also has 20 years in the military, and 2 Bronze Stars and a couple combat tours. Like, I mean, he's a 4-star general, but at least
he almost single-handedly killed a drummer with a hatchet.
All right.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know this?
I'm so confused by that comment.
I know, right?
I really don't. I don't know in what direction that's going to go, honestly.
So they had him outside of the studio, and they had one of those axe to grind, right? The hatchet throwing places. They had a portable one where they set it up, and they gave him one, and he throws it. It goes over the target and hits a freaking drummer.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like from a prep band, like a high school prep band. He's just sitting there drumming away, and this freaking hatchet comes in from nowhere.
I can honestly say I could not have ever guessed that was the story you were gonna tell me from start to finish. I just really didn't know what was gonna happen.
I just had a vision from like the scene, like from The Patriot, when you said, "Yeah, he had a drummer with that."
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Well, on X, that was the thing with very left-leaning people. They're like, this is the guy that they're picking for SecDef, and it shows him throwing that hatchet. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm just not even going to comment on that one.
I like Reddit for the fact that you can follow different threads and at least see just straight up videos of just, let's say something happens, like something catastrophic or whatever. You can pretty much guarantee you're going to be able to do a search on a random thread on Reddit and find just straight up cell phone videos from the event and start kind of making your own opinion from the videos. I mean, that's what's semi nice about Reddit, but even then you get so much political bias on all these platforms anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like the day I lost faith in Reddit. So I've been a Redditor. I think my account's like 13 or 14 years now.
Yeah.
Was in I was like on we have a local one for Manhattan, Kansas.
Yep.
And I popped on there. Some lady had this whole thread about she's overweight, super depressed, super sad, and on food stamps, and wants to know if Slim Life, like the Slim Fast would be available for food stamps if it would work. And I wrote this whole long post like, hey, just like basic nutrition stuff, go for walks, and your biggest focus should be not, lose weight, feel better about yourself, but you should probably focus on, bettering yourself so you're not worried about what you can and can't buy off of food stamps.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, wake up the next morning, like -600, like,
no,
and
that's
everyone's
Reddit
like,
for you.
how bigoted, you can't call her fat and you can't tell her to be off food stamps. Like, you asked for advice, and this is the advice I'm going to give you. So right? It's like, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. So it's funny. You wake up, you see that, and you're like, well, that's enough internet for today.
Yeah, that's Reddit for you now,
dude. I don't even respond to comments anymore on Reddit. Like, I just post, and I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna let whatever happens with this post happen. And that's it, because they get so downvoted all the time. You really don't know with Reddit, like what's going to be good or bad. A lot of times it's straight up cancer, though. I will agree.
I'd say the only positive thing I get is when I posting like softcore stuff about my stepsister and I, but that's really about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, yeah, that's a given. That's a given for sure.
Oh my gosh! Every time with that, so Nan was saying that every time that she hears me, and while I'm editing a video, she hears the "Oh hi Mark," and she starts giggling. Every time freaking Jefe brings up his stepsister, I start freaking giggling. Because I obviously know the whole story. So
It happens, you know.
So with Reddit though, I've really never used it. I have it on my phone, and
be careful, Mark. Be careful.
I know I thought that maybe I would use it for like research purposes, like if I needed to learn.
Like I did air quotes on that. Like every 12-year-old boy's like, I need a laptop in my room for research.
Yeah. That is exactly what I thought. You know, it's I think for gun stuff, it's kind of untapped. As like if we're talking just YouTube related stuff, like you want to post a short basically on Reddit. They don't really have a name for it, but what would be the equivalent of a reel or a short on Reddit, the amount of views you're going to get is usually insane compared to YouTube or Instagram, at least what I've seen.
Yeah.
Depending on what thread you posted in.
Well, like was it Firing Device M57? Got to start on Reddit. He did that for years. I remember.
Yep.
I remember he kept on posting this like left-handed Remington 700. I mean, I'm thinking like this is like 5-6 years ago, and I was always loved his content because like, oh god, it's left-handed. I'm left-handed. I need this rifle in my life. I commented a bunch on it. We chatted, but he sometimes would comment back. And then I remember one day I was on Instagram and that same rifle popped up, like the same photo. I'm like, someone's stealing this bastard stealing. And then it turns out, I mean, it's the same guy. But it's like, you know, it's kind of, I would love to see like the statistics of like how many people like that are kind of, I don't say big into the YouTube, but more the photography and like taking photos of guns, or who started on Instagram, who started on Reddit, and what kind of like cross contamination they have from that.
Yeah. I would say the most comparable would be Instagram. Like, I mean, Instagram, weirdly, Reddit does not throttle anything. Like as it's all completely organic still. So if you post in a thread and it does well, it just does well organically because the thread likes it. If it does bad, the thread doesn't like it. But that's kind of the one trade-off with Reddit. As much cancer as it is, you can get the word out a little easier depending on, you know, if you get a good community going in some of these threads.
Yeah, it's an online forum, so your admins are going to dictate, or your moderators are going to dictate how much fun you have. Right. And I know like the gun porn. I'm trying to think of some of the other subreddits. They're usually pretty cool. Like they don't. Yeah. Like most of the guns people don't give a fuck about what you post up there as long as it's gun content. But the second you go outside there, it's just like you know, there's some guy named Terrence down the street from you is like super pissed off all the time, just deletes comments and bans you for the dankest of deep fried memes.
Or you could be like the AK-47 subreddit and swat people to the ATF and you know all that fun stuff. So not great.
I forgot about that. So tread lightly in the AK one, but
way to go, guys.
Yeah, that sounds
not
like
great.
AK owners. I mean, it's fitting that the rifle of the communists would be snitching on each other so they can get people removed.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, I get it. I'm quite the AK person myself, but I do agree that we are quite autistic at times. You know, it happens. It happens.
We're so autistic that we kind of turn to communists.
That's exactly right. You're right.
And my whole premise was to use it as a search tool for whatever next firearm I was going to do a review on to see, what have been some of the issues, right? Because, with my videos and I've picked it up heavily from watching your videos as well, is, talk about the good things with the bad things, and try to have as transparent and holistic of a video as possible. And so there's been a number of videos that have done very well, but at the same time, they're like, oh man, you forgot about this. You didn't bother to mention about this. And it's like, was like, oh, I didn't even know those were. I didn't even know those were the thing, So
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
Reddit
some
would
of
be.
it you just can't even. I don't know. Some comments are just tough, no matter what way you look at them. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, my favorite still is I get it about once a week. That I sound like Kermit the Frog. So they're always like, man.
what?
Oh yeah. I just showed one to Nan just last week. I was like, the guy was like something to the effect of, I hate to be this guy to say it, but you really sound like Kermit the Frog. Not trying to be a dick. Great video.
I love
was
the
Wow.
not trying to be a dick. Like that's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, you're totally valid then. I get it. Yeah. Now, if it
So-
makes you feel any better, my thing is the gauges. My gauges are like, dude, I probably have in the triple digits numbers of comments of like borderline like just kill yourself because of the gauges that I have.
Oh,
So that's just I get it, man. It happens. People are ridiculous.
yeah. Hefe was boomering over here. He's like gauges,
Gauges.
like
Oh,
RPM.
yeah.
You're talking
No,
RPM.
no,
You're talking
no,
about
no,
cars now.
no. The
Oh,
the
we know that.
unfortunate spacers, you could call them, the earrings that have big holes in your ears. That
But
good
you do
stuff.
yours tastefully, I think. I know some people that have really, really gotten them pretty large.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh,
just
they
like,
were bigger. They were big. So fun fact about Mr. Firearm Freedom here. I did this at the ripe age of 12
Oh.
back in the day. Yeah. Yeah. And it was not a good time. I had told my mom, I'm like, no. It's just a piercing. It's just a piercing. And as it kept growing and growing and growing, she's like, no, it's not that's not a piercing. And I made this, I made this wonderful call to do this, way back then. And because of the size they got to, they could never go back. Like that was it. So, Jesus, by the time I was probably like 15 or 16, I'm like, I don't want this anymore, and that they were there to stay. So I shrunk them down to this size, which was as low as they would go. And that's, the mark you get. So, hey, any kids watching this, don't do it, my friends. Don't do it.
What you should do is just like tear them off and tell some like elaborate story about how
That'd
like,
be cool.
you lost them in a boxing match or something like that. Some
Yeah.
guys bit them
Or
off.
you were on a
Yeah.
stage giving a speech, and next thing you know, someone's shooting at you.
You were looking at a graph to your left, and all of a sudden a 223 just grazes them right on off.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Are you deep diving into that at all?
So I don't know. I haven't really deep dived it too much. I think there's some interesting things about it. But I feel like it got muddy real quick.
That's fair.
Real quick.
It's because it's a very hot topic. Like it's one of those that's going to take a couple years for everyone to be able to like objectively look at it. Like the whole water tower. There's like that second plume of smoke that was kind of in the crowd. That lady, the lady that was allegedly part of the CIA, like recording all of it.
Yep.
Like there's a bunch of like this weird stuff that happened.
The angles of the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that makes sense, man. Those things that look dangerous, dude.
Yeah. Usually the assassination attempts just get thrown with like so many theories. That's what happened with JFK, where there's all of a sudden, like in 24 hours, there's like 85 different possible credible different things. And I feel like it's one of those like 1,000 untruths to hide the one truth. You know what I mean? And I think they do that diversionary stuff quite a bit to make it nearly impossible to figure out what the hell actually happened.
So then I'm going to put you on the spot right here. Was this a lone wolf thing, or do you think what's your initial
From what
take?
you've seen? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you feel like you're like, I don't want to comment, that's 100%.
No, I mean,
yourself
at this point, I feel like there could be definitely more to it. This dude is got pretty lucky, you know what I mean? If he's up on the roof like that and no one did anything about it at all for that amount of time, just seems very bizarre to me.
Well,
you know, that would be just my 2 cents on it, but
well, I think we're just going to start going down this rabbit hole. What just blows my mind is like the amount of text that even like the Secret Service, like, hey, we had a tail come and follow us through this gate. Hey, there's a kid here with a drone and a rangefinder. Hey, there's a guy, like, there's communication between law enforcement and Secret Service and a bunch of
bizarre.
people. It's just super bizarre because, like, you know, I've never done any like presidential or even like some dignitary concerns, but like you think if like one of those single flags popped up, you know, everyone would be just going ham on trying to figure out what's going on. You know, everything from, you know, just flying a drone, like I'm gonna do just flying a drone near K-State Stadium during a football game is like the amount of response that happens from it is just fucking insane just for like a college football game.
Yeah.
Now you're saying at a presidential, you know, a campaign speech that a drone will go up in the air. Everyone looks at it, watch it goes back down. This kid collected up and like, oh, well, that's probably super normal.
No, that's totally. It's you know, photography, you know,
not to mention they usually have grounding capabilities inside the drone software, so if you're in a no-fly zone, it won't even take off. Like it's just not even an option.
So I have a certain spot that I like to go to hunt at Fort Riley, and I thought, well, I know there's a number of other people that like to hunt the same spot, so right before season, or at least the open day that you could go in and start setting up your tree stand, I was like, I
would stop yourself before you incriminate yourself on a podcast.
Yeah,
like,
maybe hold off a little bit.
No, it's not even that, because the drone wouldn't even allow me to fly over there. I mean, it was like hundreds of yards from the border of the military installation, and it would stop. It wouldn't even go any further. And I was like, oh, okay, well that. Yeah, well, I wouldn't even let me go.
Yeah, because so what's also really interesting with like a lot of the technology when it comes to drones, especially when because like with DJIs, the government has a lot of backdoors in those already because they're a Chinese product, and like if you have a U.S. drone, there's not as many backdoors, but the Chinese ones have tons of backdoors, which the government can shut it down for, like, say, no DJI in this square, like grid square, essentially, and say, fuck you. If you want to fly a DJI, too bad. Now on the US side drones, there's a lot more jailbreaking to it. You can get around those, but like I just find it just bizarre that this happened the way it did, especially how much drone capabilities that were at the rallies. And how much you think that would be, you know, imagine this kid just had a suicide drone outside of, you know,
for sure.
This would be a completely different like timeline would be on. But
I think because of the conflict in Ukraine, we're going to start seeing in the future those types of things becoming reality.
So first we lost Harambe, then the Weasel got into the Large Hadron Collider. Now Peanut and Fred, like my favorite one is that Peanut and Fred had to die to get the timeline fixed. Like it's like Harambe died, the Weasel got stuck in the Large Hadron Collider and caused a black hole, and then Fred and Peanut had to be sacrificed just so it would get back on track.
Yeah, that
totally makes sense to me. So absolutely.
Well, let's transition real quick here to back to your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do? That's usually my shtick.
All over it.
We've dived into fitness and deep dived to conspiracies, and now back to the gun tubing world. I love it. It's great.
So you've been doing YouTube longer than I have, as we've well established, but one of the other things that is kind of interesting is you've also been kind of working in the gun space a little bit as well as kind of quote unquote professional. And then you've gotten into a new position that's going to get you even deeper into the gun industry as well.
Nice,
right? And so I just, from what little time that you've been into it, what has been your experience from doing YouTube, reading the comments, working behind the counter of a gun store, and then now this new position? What has changed your perception for the better, for worse?
Yeah.
How does that all work?
So I've been behind a gun counter for 10 years, working retail. And I started up in New York, where I'm from, unfortunately, and then went from,
Business was booming up there.
Yeah. Big box store up there, Gander Mountain, which is now, no longer. And swapped from, a Gander Mountain up there to a Gander Mountain down here in Pennsylvania. And then to, two more local shops that'll remain nameless just for privacy stuff. But, working the gun counter gave me a huge bit of knowledge and information that was crucial to starting the YouTube channel in 2016, because I was doing this job and getting all these questions from customers all the time, and just day to day. And I was like, I'm always getting these questions, and I'm buying guns, because working in the gun industry behind a gun counter, you're getting a lot of deals and just things. We like to call it gun shop fate, which ends up breaking the bank quite a bit these days. And, it transitioned really well into starting a YouTube channel. And recently, as you said, I finally dipped out of retail and left my job as the general manager of the past shop I've been working at for the past few years, and got into sales. So now I'm head of sales for a firearms accessory manufacturer. I'll say they'll remain nameless as well for just conflict things.
Firearms accessories.
You got it. Propane and firearms accessories. So, but that has really opened up. I got to meet you, Mark, at TriggerCon for that reason. That's kind of gotten me out to more like corporate side of the gun world, the sales side, talking to distributors and manufacturers and other businesses and things. So I'm kind of being able to see like all aspects of the gun world. But as you said, like how that kind of changes things, I don't know. There's something very real about the gun line that I absolutely love over the years. You see firsthand what the effects of gun tubers has on regular everyday people all day long. And the phone calls, you see the effects of one, this has no bearing on like bad or good, but let's just say Garand Thumb or someone else that's very, very large puts out a specific video, and it's just kind of funny watching the trickling effect of that on phone calls that day and questions that day firsthand. So it gives you just kind of an interesting perspective, basically.
So every Sunday you get like a random call. Hey, do you got the Q boxing yet?
Exactly.
Sunday afternoon. No reason.
And it really. The other thing too is you're handling so many guns, so many different types of guns. Not working at a gun shop, it can be difficult. You gotta travel to shops all the time. You got to try to find the new things at a show or at some place that's gonna be displaying it. But at a gun shop, you're seeing these guns get transferred in all day long, so you're able to get a lot of more of a hands-on experience all the time on these guns and get like a real like ground level experience with it, which is super handy when it comes to doing YouTube videos, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. What has been kind of your most rewarding aspect of it so far? Being a gun tuber.
I love just like the genuine thought of hopefully helping people like in their purchase. That's kind of huge. I can't stand YouTubers that just like rage bait and are not in it to like like actually review something. It's just like, let me choose something that everyone's going to disagree with and I don't even agree with, but I'm going to make a video on it because I know that's going to get people roaring in the comment section.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stand that stuff. So I would say the best part of the YouTuber stuff is just trying to make a genuine review, talking about a product that is what is good and what is bad, you know, talking about all aspects of it. And that's not going to get you the 3 million followers, you know, that's just it's not how it works typically, but I don't mind that, you know, I don't mind slowly growing to remain high in the integrity aspect.
For sure. And that's one of the things that you mentioned when you were talking about your bodybuilding and powerlifting career, which is, you know, something that I know Jefe missed out on, but but you mentioned in your like bodybuilding career, you get to that point where it's either, okay,
I take steroids or I don't.
Exactly.
You got
that
it.
Was
That was
exactly
exactly what we said.
He wasn't even here. He knows what is going on.
Yep.
But it's almost like that's the same point that you and I face right now is like,
yes.
Do I start one, hiring someone to do my camera work and editing?
Yep.
To raise to that next level of like grand thumb, you know, stuff like that. Jefe's different because he's just
say, ouch.
No, you're
Ow.
I'm just tired of freaking having a tripod that keeps on blowing over.
Speaking of which, I think you have one of mine somewhere.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the next piece of it is how much of myself do I sell? You know?
Yeah. I feel that so much, so much.
Because you've got some YouTubers that, and I won't name them by names, but some people that I genuinely like as people, but I can't watch their content because they'll never say a bad thing about a product, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, come on, there's not everything is perfect. You have to talk about the issues.
Except for Terra Arms or primary.
yeah. So it happens, but
you know, and for you know, people that are like yourself who continue to put out content that is relevant and insightful, that talks about the good with the bad, like I said earlier, has been always appreciated. And that's one of the things that I find as a YouTuber to be the most rewarding piece of it. Was I did a video on a clone of the Law Tactical folder.
Okay.
And I
remember that it broke. Yeah.
Yes, it broke. I have gotten so many comments that has said, you just saved me X amount of money because I was going to buy one of these
stuff right there.
You know, and if you go to that video and just
it's right there, I can see it.
It is. Yeah. It's sitting over there, still broke. If you look through the comments in that video, you will see comment after comment after comment, you know, oh my God, thank you for this video, you know, and so on and so forth. And
that's what people forget there, the big YouTubers, because, you know, you don't like a slightly smaller channel, you know, and in our range, that like 40 to 60K area, you know, you have a much more like, understanding of the commenters. You know, you're seeing that stuff a lot. There's not like 200,000 comments under a video, and that's where, like I said, being at the gun line, I mean, I see firsthand people will come in off of a video that I know is bullshit. Like I know I've shot the gun, I know that that's not accurate, but someone will come in and say, hey, I just saw this and I want to buy this now, you know, and no matter what I tell them, it doesn't matter because they saw, you know, X, Y, or Z YouTuber talking about it. And I think that's what's forgotten is like, yeah, you're getting views, but these views are real people, you know, with real money that they are really spending on the stuff that you're telling them to buy, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah. And it's like, what's weird about it, and I'm just thinking back, like way back in the day, where like 90% of my purchases, you had to spend like 6 or 7 months because, you know, as a broke college kid, you just couldn't go out and buy guns whenever you wanted to. And but where like you'd watch like
layaway.
you would watch like I remember like Nuttin' Fancy was like my guy I always went to.
Dude,
back in the day. You'd watch an hour and a half Nuttin' Fancy production, the Full House
POUs.
Yeah, and you get a full breakdown of what these the one I really remember is like there was a couple bolt action guns, a couple handguns where he talks like all the philosophy of use, what you should use it for, what you shouldn't use it for, with the good, the bad, did it survive the gauntlet? Like, and you would watch this for an hour and walk away. And nowadays it's like, hey, here's Post Malone's M249. I'm going to shoot it in the dirt for about 45 minutes, and then say, hey, it's a great and wonderful, cool tool, and you'll never get this, or you'll have so these very, very niche guns. And yes, that is kind of required in our space because there are a lot of cool guns out there. Like this Brandon Herrera's bringing like a bunch of cool content about stuff that you probably will never see or be able to touch. And so it's cool to watch like modern content with people who are excited about it show off this stuff, like the rocket jet pistol. The he just came out with the Unabomber, like they made an air quote clone correct Unabomber homicide pistol. Like there's like a bunch of cool stuff like that, but at the end of the day, there's their entertainment value, and there's the people are going to YouTube saying, I have $600, I am thinking of buying this rifle, this shotgun, this accessory, and especially when it comes to like some of the, I don't say budget stuff, but like the less expensive things or less known things, YouTube is going to be your go-to source. And there's, Grantham is not going to do a full-on review of the Law Tactical folder or a Taurus G2C, or they're just not going to do that. And you have to find.
The reality of it is the algorithm doesn't want that. In order to do those videos, you have to be willing to put out a video that's going to bank it in views and another video that's going to get 100 views. You know what I mean? And just understanding that like it's good content that's going to help some people, but the algorithm's not necessarily going to love that,
What has been your experience on your videos as to what seems to be the most popular, not only for your viewers, but
on YouTube? YouTube,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
But also for what's been recommended. Has there been certain things that people really kind of tune in for?
It is very all over the place. I really never know what is going to stick. I just picked up 2 holy grail guns for me. One was an AR-180 and the other one is a Spaz 12. Mm-hmm. And like just gun shop fate just kind of rolled in the door there. And obviously those were generating a ton of views because the AR-180 was new in box. It still had the original shipping box, unfired, like all that good stuff. So everyone was really interested in that unboxing video. So that got a ton of views. But then I'll post something almost identical. Say I'm editing a video as we speak on the AR-180. And I'll post that and that might get a quarter, and I think that's so hard to tell as a gun tuber with YouTube because it's nearly impossible to see, is the video causing the views to be good, or like is YouTube just deciding like not to throttle that video? Like you really never know what is actually going on, and you could even do everything right. My good friend over at GB Guns, just got nailed again with 45 videos getting removed, and he flies perfectly in the way of the rules when it comes to YouTube and what they want or don't want. And I just feel like anymore, you just don't know. You don't know what's going to stick and what's not, and what's going to get banned and what's not.
Yeah. Well, do you I know YouTube's one of those things that's like it's this necessary evil. You're going to have to play by the rules. Do you do anything else outside YouTube? Like I saw that Brandon Herrera's doing like Pepper Box. I think that's what they're calling it now. I mean, unfortunately, it's a subscription service right now.
Well, and it's invite only.
So, it is.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Not kind of like full 30 back in the day.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which I applied for.
I did
Uh,
too. Never got in.
Never got in. But then other people that I'm like, how did you get in? You know?
Yeah. The biggest oh, sorry, Mark. I didn't mean to cut you off
I
there.
was just going to say, I think it was John Patton from the Gun Collective. He reached out to the team with Pepperbox and was like, "Hey, how do I get on?" And they're like, "Oh, we're not accepting anybody new. We'll reach
Yeah.
out if we want somebody." And I'm like, "Okay,
Now, was he asking to post onto Pepperbox or join to watch on Pepperbox?
to post."
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, that as much as it sucks, like it's a private business, they want to be
Sure.
invite only. That's for, I thought you
Yeah.
meant you had to be invited just to watch something like, well, that's gonna take then because
Yeah.
no one's gonna go pay
Yeah.
a subscription service and hope they can watch.
No, yeah, no. I mean, for your original question, I've tried Rumble,
Mhm.
and a few other things, and honestly, YouTube is too much of just a giant, when it comes to being the number one with video streaming. I mean, I'll be honest, straight out, I would never find myself, being completely honest, on Rumble on my time off, watching videos. I'm always going to be on YouTube. That's just like how I could never see myself going there, because it's too much of a preaching to the choir thing. Like I'm into fitness and all these different things, and I like being able to go to my YouTube subscription feed and see a bunch of my regular everyday gun folks, and also tune into my fitness shit and look at skateboarding content and everything in between, and that's where I think it's so hard to find something else that's not YouTube, because you post a video on Rumble or something, and actually Nuttin' Fancy is a prime example. He's got 800,000 subscribers on YouTube and went over to Rumble. I subscribed to him on Rumble, and I'm watching some of his videos. I think max they're like 200 views, and he has like 1,000 subscribers. It's just not even worth the time, unfortunately.
Do you think Twitter's ever going to get, or X
maybe
is going to catch up?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, with how far that's growing, I'm just so bad with Twitter. Like, I never use it. I'm like such a boomer with it. I don't know how it works compared to the other social media, but I could see that going somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds like they're trying to actually compete with YouTube. The only downside is like the way they do their advertising, like how they split the money up. You have to actually, it's weird. My understanding is you have to be a paid premium member to get money out of it.
Correct.
And that's not, if you're making like $7, $8 a month, sorry, having like, millions of interactions, the $10 a month isn't anything, but
no, I completely agree that it's interesting when it comes to the ad stuff with Twitter. I mean, or X. I keep messing that up, dude. That's never gonna get.
What I'm really interested in. This is going to be a very niche thing for like all the few law enforcement officers that deal with this problem. So there's a company called Spillman. It's actually a part of Motorola. Their logo is the exact same thing as the X logo.
Interesting.
It throws me off every time. Like when they switched over it, I was like, I thought I had Spillman on my phone for one day. I was like, what the hell? No, the logo, it's like the exact same. If you, I don't know if you can Google it, but this exact same X, the exact same font, the exact same everything. So it's going to be, I would be interested to see if X gets sued for that logo, or
I'm trying to Google it as we speak.
Motorola. Let's see if it.
Well, the biggest thing with me that I find so hilarious is I start complaining about YouTube on a YouTube video, and they're like, "Well, just go over to Rumble or Odyssey or whatever," and I'm like,
or OnlyFans.
Well, I'm already not OnlyFans, but I'm already on those other places.
So this is actually what's really interesting about OnlyFans, and I don't want to derail this too much. Like they're like, yes, we know what OnlyFans, like everyone, you say OnlyFans, everyone immediately goes to what OnlyFans is about.
What's OnlyFans about?
It's for where people sell
It's for
sexual
where
acts.
you see
how do
this
you know
thing.
this, Hefe?
I do a lot of research for work, but there's still people on there like that have OnlyFans accounts that do like this random stuff. Like,
Yeah,
they're still
I
like,
mean,
gaming.
there was
They
that
still-
huge push for Pornhub for a bit there with the gun community posting on there, and ironically, Pornhub decided to cancel gun content among none other issues with their content, but gun content was a big problem for them.
Wasn't Forgotten Weapons? Didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
second.
Yep.
I didn't go watch
Yep.
Minecraft videos on the hub, but
Yeah.
God forbid you see a fucking
I
AK-47.
know, right?
Yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah. No, so I mean, YouTube just nails it, man. My
Mhm.
channel has been throttled for years,
Yeah.
years and years and years, and I've begun to just kind of forget about trying to understand why or what I did. Actually, Mark, you gave me some of the most handy advice I've ever gotten on the behind the scenes of the channel stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, with the way of monetization where you choose like offensive language instead of firearms
right.
content.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that does help occasionally. I mean, sometimes it's probably about 60-40, so
Yeah.
60% it works, 40% just still nothing.
Well, I've been actually utilizing a completely different tactic now.
Okay. All right.
So I run everything through Mac, right? So I have an iPhone, I
same.
have a MacBook, right? So what I'll do is I will edit my entire video and then I'll render it and save it as a .mov file, right?
Yep.
And then I airdrop it to myself on my phone, and then I upload it into YouTube using the YouTube Studio app.
Okay.
And when you do that, you go through and when you monetize it, and as you're uploading it into your channel, it doesn't give you any options.
Oh,
as
it's like
to-
a short, basically.
Kind of, yeah. So when you monetize it, you just click. It says, does this conform to TOS? You just click yes, and boom. There's no questions about offensive language, political stuff, firearms, none of that.
That's
type of
pretty
stuff,
interesting.
right?
Yeah.
So I've been running that route. I've
Yeah.
also added in my description that there are no firearms for sale. Everything is on a closed range. Everything's
Yep.
unsafe. There's a blurb in there that talks about that because YouTube's AI is actually looking for that type of stuff in your description, right?
I could totally see that. Yeah, I
And-
just stopped putting descriptions, basically.
So what has gotten me dinged in the last few months I got 3 strikes within 10 days. And one strike was appealed and granted. They say, okay, yeah, you're absolutely right that we were overreaching in our enforcement here.
Yeah.
But they kept 2 of them, and I fought those and so on and so forth. But excuse me, some of the feedback that I got was that if I added that blurb and then I removed my my email address and my post office box address, then everything should be just fine. I should not have any issues moving forward.
Okay.
The only reason why I had those things in there is so that people could contact me if they had questions, if they wanted to send me something to review or something like that. But YouTube's AI sees it and says, "Oh, you're doing a YouTube video on a gun. You have your contact information in your description. You must be trying to sell this gun," which is obviously not the case.
Right.
Which is, they had to do it. YouTube, I hate to say that, I hate to be on their side on this, but they had to do it because there are some nefarious people in other countries. Some,
Looking at you, Pakistan.
man, I tell you what, Jeff must live rent free inside my head because he's been nailing on the nose on all of this type of stuff. But yeah, that's exactly it. And so they had to implement some of these rules, but by adding some of those disclaimers into the description, now when I go through and get my upload the video. It comes back limited, so obviously it's not going to get monetized. But I can request a manual review for those people who don't know how this works.
Yep.
And when I request my manual review, it's usually reviewed within probably 4 or 5 hours.
That's really good compared to the normal.
Yep,
Yeah.
it flips quick. Now, I have also noticed that my views have gone down over the last month for some odd reason.
Interestingly, any of my videos that have been monetized, the views go down. And the videos that are not monetized, the views go up a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, and to everyone, I think an interesting talking point as well, a little bit of a transition while we're on the money side of YouTube, is I think there is definitely a high integrity way to still make money off of YouTube and a low integrity way to still make money off YouTube. And
I got to pay that second alimony, right?
Yeah, you got it. But the people forget like how much money it costs to run a gun YouTube channel. Like just the amount of money in purchasing firearms for review, in purchasing ammo. I mean, just ammo alone is ridiculous, and people will still complain that there's ads in a video or something like that. Like monetizing a video, I feel like is the best way if possible. But I mean, full transparency, I maybe break $100 a month on my monetization that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like, if I'm lucky, it'll break 100. And for the people listening, if you don't know, YouTube won't even pay you for that month if it's below 100. You gotta get, it'll save up for the next month till it's like, 150 or whatever. And then they'll pay you. But, I hate to break it to you, but ammo for one video is like $250. So it's, it really doesn't add up. So I've gone the route of paid ad reads, and that has worked out well just by being. I feel like you can still be transparent in that way, but one area I don't dip into ever and refuse to ever is a paid review. And there's like very different things with a paid review versus a paid ad read,
right?
Mm-hmm. So
that sounds really shallow, much like the shallow pools of Raid Shadow Legend.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That is, I haven't quite gotten to that level yet, but I'll do some ad reads, Sure. I mean, like an ad read is harmless in my opinion,
Oh yeah,
I think so.
It would every time you watch any type of YouTube video and they do a paid ad read, like. Yeah, kind of. What I love how a lot of them will do, like they will pre-record it. So if you're watching, like I use Brandon Herrera like 6 times a day, so I'm going to use him again. He'll be wearing a flannel shirt, and then next, like it'll go to the paid ad read. He's wearing a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So scroll over till he's no longer wearing a T-shirt.
Yeah,
You on for life. You're like, oh, you have to make your money somehow, man. Like I get it.
Yeah.
Like this is a business. You have to make money somehow, and that's what's nice about. Like the paid ad reads, when it starts becoming like paid reviews or paid like behind.
That's not cool. Yeah.
That's when it's like, you just never really know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I try to stay away from, like you, is the paid ad read, or not the paid ad reads, but the
except for you, Atero,
we love smoking me right off the bat.
But the
paid reviews.
Exactly. The ad reads that I do has to be something that I will use.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
Right. So like right now, Vertex is the ad read that I put in a lot of my videos.
Yeah.
And, I wear their pants, I wear their jeans, I have a flannel shirt. I've got the
perfect gray man.
I've got, right. I've got a fanny pack.
I won't say it's a fanny pack. That's a man purse.
No. The smaller one.
Oh,
you're thinking MFT.
Oh, dude, yeah. I upgraded the fanny pack. I'm on like full blown Merce satchel at this point, like rocking around.
The one that I use
mine's a nut sack I carry everywhere.
The one that I
Ultimate
use
Gray
is
Man.
the Mission First Tactical sling bag that they have that I really, really like.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, I do that because I can give a discount code, and if someone purchases something utilizing my discount code, then I get a commission off of that. So that's
Yeah.
a win-win. Not only you getting something that I recommend and wear and use, you're also getting a discount, and I get a kickback from it. I think that's a win-win-win for everybody, and
100%.
that's the stuff that I really get energized for,
Yeah.
So I mean, heck, Hefe, you wear their jeans. You like their jeans?
Well, the biggest thing I like, the biggest comment I have for my Vertex, I think that the Guardian jeans or whatever they are, is my wife doesn't think they look nerdy. So that's like the biggest win.
Yeah.
She's like,
Not
those are
bad.
some new pants. I'm like, yeah. Do you see all these cool extra pockets? She goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, cool. Well, just no, never mind.
Yeah, we'll just
Yep.
I
gloss
think
over
the
that
only
one.
thing she ever commented on, she recognized like that has that the extra like articulating knees, and she goes, that's kind of a weird stitch on there. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Unfortunately, the OG like 08 511 pants definitely don't really rake it in with the ladies most of the time anymore.
Well, I loved how that was the fashion for a little bit, and then the guys realized it, so they went to like the Wrangler Ranger pants.
Yeah.
They made you look like a outdoorsy man. Like that was the next like iteration of the 511 7 cargo pocket.
Yeah.
And
I switched from the 511 just straight up tactical pant to the Meridians, which I've been digging those quite a bit lately.
Oh, okay.
The Meridian pant is pretty sweet. Not too bad.
Check those out.
no,
Yeah.
Outdoor Research and Vertex right now is kind of, or Levi's, whatever's
Yeah,
cheapest.
Yeah, cheapest. Well, the Vertex Defiance jeans is the ones. I think,
That's the one. That one.
Those were like $50, and with a discount code.
Fit and Fire 50% off.
There you go.
Fit and Fire. It's actually Fit and Fire. No 15. It's Fit and Fire. I was misinformed on that one, but anyway, those are the ones that I really, really like, and I think I've got some more coming, maybe for a Christmas gift, maybe for Christmas. I've got more coming. So I'm like legit like getting ready to go through my entire wardrobe as far as
go get rid of
jeans.
Go get rid of all his like
Buckle.
9-line apparel shirts and Punisher Skull t-shirts and flip it out with Vertex.
I'm never
Brother.
The Punisher Skull stand.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Punisher shirt stays on.
Yeah, no, I mean the affiliate marketing, I do that as well, and I would agree that it is still a justified way to make some actual money and cash revenue from YouTube to make it semi worth it, to be doing it on the side.
Just don't do it light.
I will say that I've had a pretty good year this year. And this year is the first year that I'm going to be able to pay for my SHOT Show completely. So
that's huge, dude.
Airfare, room, meals, Ubers.
Oh, just walk, man.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, sure, right. Yeah, you were quick to get into those Ubers this past SHOT Show after 8 hours of walking.
We're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
I mean, okay, I was waiting for.
That's San Francisco. That's not Las Vegas. We were classier than that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but, so it's been a great thing, but I've also had to manage my money very, very well when it comes to that. Okay, well, I'm just going to have to stretch this ammo that I have this month to get through to try to do maybe, hey, instead of doing like a 500 round first impressions video, maybe it's a 100 round or a 200 round, and
I had to draw it back too, man. Like people don't get it. It's like that adds up real quick, and not everybody can be dropping 5,000 round burn down videos. You know what I mean? I mean that's a lot of money out of pocket.
Maybe 2 years from now, but speaking of 2 years from now, we are hitting the 2 hour mark.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we don't edit these, so people stop listening after about
I get
2
it.
hours.
No.
I get it.
We also wanted to make sure that we were incredibly respectful for your time too.
Oh,
because know
I greatly appreciate it, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing the whole waking up at like 3:54 for that like sacred 1 hour of training time before work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Do you
Just get
take
in
a
the gym.
picture of your watch every morning and say, "I beat you, Jocko"?
No, not trying to be that guy. It's just more so like kids, dog, wife, everything going on. It's just you got to take it where you can get it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. I'm going to spring this on you. I didn't tell you about this in the email. I should have told you about
That's
this.
okay.
But,
He's not apologizing. He never does it.
No, we never do. We give you the last 30 seconds. What's your last 30 seconds for your folksy wisdom for the audience out there?
Dad advice and not
Yeah.
that meme I sent today.
Yeah.
All right. Last 30 seconds. I've learned a lot recently how short life is, how finite it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Jobs are not worth as much as people think they're worth, and travel and experiencing life is worth a lot more. So if you can not even afford to take expensive vacations, but just go out on your weekends and just find something nearby to explore, whether it's going to a shop, an outdoors thing, anything, do it a lot more, because, at the end, I think it's a lot easier to say goodbye to whatever we got going to go on to the next thing if you've experienced life to the fullest. So that'll be my last 30 seconds.
It's almost like you've listened to a few of the podcasts,
I might have,
Cool. Well, then I'm going to add on to that then, because much like what Joe said, at the end of it all, what's more with the biggest telltale of how like good you live your life is what's written on your tombstone. Your subscriber count's not on there, how many guns you owned, not what kind of car you drove. It's husband, father, son, daughter, wife, whatever. So take that to heart. That's your biggest calling in life. So live to the fullest.
Yeah,
100%.
My piece is that we're getting ready to enter in another 4 years.
Oh, I thought you said holiday season.
Well,
that
too,
about suicide.
But, we'll talk about that later. But we'll do it on the next episode. But yeah, politics. We're another 4 years of the Trump administration. If you remember what it was like in the 16 to 20, I guess actually 2017 to 2021. They called it in the gun industry a Trump slump because things were wide open. This is the perfect time right now as we start approaching this new era, this next 4 years, to start stacking up on ammunition, start stacking up on spare parts for your firearms, and get your ass off the freaking couch and go work out, go train, go travel, do those things that you've been telling yourself that you've been putting it off. I'll do it next weekend. I'll do it next weekend. Do it now. This is going to be, I hope, I'm very optimistic about this. These next 4 years are going to be very prosperous, especially for us in the gun industry. I think that this is going to be a great opportunity for us to move some rocks, some heavy rocks here,
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Joe, sir, it was so great to see you at TriggerCon. Incidentally, I didn't mention this. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. You're actually a little bit taller than I was expecting.
I was going to say taller than you. I'm like, everyone's taller than you.
Everybody's taller than me. Yeah.
I am a very average, just regular 5'10". That's the. It's just the. I feel like 5'10" is like.
Go ahead.
Just normal.
5'10" is huge for Mark. He's like
I was trying to be as polite as possible.
Every so often this Olaf meme comes off on my feed. It's like Olaf is like 5'3", like mechanically. So if you know anybody that's under 5'3", tell them that they're smaller than Olaf. Every time I see it, I just send it to him.
Yeah, every time. But it was, like I said, it was great to see you in person.
Snowman from Frozen. If you have kids, you understand.
Yeah.
Help.
But I'm excited to see you at SHOT Show again. And,
Absolutely.
we're gonna get into it.
Yeah,
we're gonna have fun. So I will have all of your information in the description of this podcast so people can find you. If you're listening to this and you haven't ever heard of Joe from Firearm Freedom or even the Freedom Foil podcast, please swing by and check out his channel and his podcast. We've talked about it. It's going to be on hold for a little bit, but I'm very hopeful it's coming back, man.
I am hopeful as well.
So exciting. So with all of that being said, again, appreciate you guys taking this time to hang out with us, and we will catch you on the next episode. As always, don't forget to live, laugh, and LARP. Bye, y'all.